People, Deluded, I'm back again. Special guest settings. Now, I came across you quite randomly when I was watching the Highbury squad, and I love the way you chat, James, man. How you doing?
Yes, thank you for having me on. Absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you.
No worries, my guy. Like I said, I like people who don't mix their words, that provide balance in their opinions and actually speak with logic, which, to be honest, is a bit of an anomaly in the football club space that we support. We've got to be honest, man. I want to ask you a couple of things, man. I'm going to just ask straight off the bat, yeah. How you feeling about Arsenal this season? Tell me everything.
How am I feeling from now, or
I mean, from the start of the season up until this point and everything in between, my guy.
So I'll go with now because that's the easiest. Deflated, absolutely deflated. I think when you look at everything in context and you look at the big picture here, you can balance it out by saying certain things are unlucky and it's unprecedented and everything else, which is true. But at the same point, it all goes back to the summer and the recruitment, and you had another opportunity to potentially fix that in January, but you still continue to sit on your hands. And that, to me, from top to bottom, is completely unacceptable. And like you said, I know there's a lot of people that might not have seen me on the Highbury squad the other night. I was a bit electric, as I'd like to say. But a lot of people here, for me, and I'll just throw it out there because I've thrown it out there in other places and I don't care anymore. You've got
That's
people
why you're here, man.
Thank you. You've got people that are Arteta fans, and I don't think they're Arsenal fans.
I agree.
And if that hurts people's feelings, I'm sorry. But yeah,
Arteta sexuals, as they're referred to you as.
Yes, I don't go maybe to that extreme, but there's definitely I've never in my lifetime seen a guy that's so protected, yet he's failed to deliver time and time again, and that completely baffles me. And I worry about it because from everything that we've seen, and none of this is confirmed, but from what I've seen, it looks as though this guy has an immense sway in terms of what happens within that football club. And I didn't like it when Arsene Wenger had that much power.
Exactly.
But one thing I will say was he had credit in the bank because he won me doubles. He won me an invincible season. He got me to European finals. Okay, we lost both, but I saw him do it.
Revolutionized the English game as well.
Exactly. And for me, this guy to have the equivalent level of power to win an FA Cup, which I'm not diminishing. I don't diminish, unlike other Arsenal fans, I don't sit here and go, oh, it's only the League Cup. Who cares?
Trophies are not a given.
That's it. I don't diminish any trophy. I want us to, if we're in a raffle, I want us to win it. That's just how I am.
I'm the same, man.
The coin toss before a game, I don't want to lose that. But I just, I find it completely baffling the way this guy is so protected and so universally loved. And, you can still support the regime, but be critical. That just makes you a critical thinker. It doesn't make you a bad person.
Thank you.
And you've got people that are like, no, if you say one thing, that's it, you're Arteta out. And the other thing that makes me laugh is they will always ask you, well, who are we going to get in? I'm not a sporting director. I mean, we don't have one, but that's not for me to say. But the thing is, if he got up at the end of the season when he's going to go, what are all these people going to do? Because they keep telling me there's no one else in the world that can replace him. So exactly. Are they all going to stop? Are they all going to stop supporting the club? Because
and that's baffling. You're bang on the money, man.
It just doesn't make sense. And all the people that were diminishing as well, after Newcastle going, oh well, I didn't want to win that anyway. If we beat them, I was going to ask them, can I have your ticket for Wembley then? Because you don't. It's only a League Cup, isn't it? You don't care. Can I have your?
You don't care, man.
Well, yeah, it's only a League Cup, isn't it?
And that's the silliest thing about it all, man. It's like I like elements of Mikel Arteta. I think he is a good coach. I do give you praise for, in part, taking us to, some of it was your mess, but inherited a lot of mess. You've got us to this point. Now, my issue with that now is one love for doing that. It's about getting over the line. And yeah, there's been injuries and all of these other factors that play a part in the season, but it's been 3 years now. We have not got over the line in anything. And I do think some Arsenal fans, they act like these are things that only happen to us. Like injuries happen to everything. Football mirrors life. there's never favorable conditions. You just have to get it done. And then I also say, on one hand, yeah, I agree with all of the injuries and all of that, but then you also have to move the conversation is, did you get over the line or not? We all know the season starts in August, ends in May. There's 38 games. Each week there's something. There's games you should have lost and you won. There's games you didn't. You deserve something more. But all that matters is the start and the end of it. The manager, what you said and what I normally say, like I felt like I was listening to myself. It's refreshing to know I'm not crazy. The manager says the same things, and it's like, I don't think I've got no bones to pick with Arteta, but it's more questioning the logic in that if you really rate Mikel Arteta that highly, then why is he not held to those standards with balance and everything? I'm not talking about the hyper opinions you see on social media. I just don't get it. When we win, it's a revolution by Mikel Arteta. When we sign players that work, it's all Mikel Arteta. When it doesn't work, it's the board. He didn't want this. And I personally think it's everybody involved, but it's like everything to absolve Mikel Arteta. Why do you genuinely think like there is this ridiculous support of Mikel Arteta? And people say you're not a supporter if you ask a question. Like, I support anything that is in my football club. There's a lot of players I don't necessarily rate, but as long as you're putting on the shirt, you have my support. I think support is doing that, but also asking questions. In the same way, if we were 13 points clear of Liverpool, I'm as happy as Larry. I'm giving Arteta all the praises. But why do you think we're in this peculiar space with the gaffer?
I think it's, and again, you're spot on with what you said a minute ago about the football mirrors life. If you look at, and I hate bringing it up, but it is very, very relatable.
Go ahead.
If you look at the political sphere, just in general of life, there's so much division between this right and the left of just it, and that could be in this country, that could be in
All
America,
over the world.
all over the world, exactly. And you've seen it where if you go too far that side, even if deep down in your head you're really like, do you know what, they've made a good point and I sort of want to pedal back, you can't. And there's so many voices. I mean, every man and his dog has an Arsenal podcast now. It's just how it goes.
Facts.
And some of these people that are at this level and are at the top of this game have got there being so pro that side that they can't come back. And
Exactly.
I think that's what it is. There's just too many people here that are like, I've got to blindly back it because I can't really say what I really feel.
I won't get my
Otherwise,
press box invites anymore, man.
that's it. I won't go. I won't be allowed to Singapore. I might not get my Patreon money at the month. You know, my Patreon lot might leave me. My YouTube lot might leave me. My Twitter followers, X followers, whatever you want to call it, they might go down. And it's just stuff like that where I've always said how I feel and what I think.
As it should be.
And I'm like, if it grows because of that, great. If it doesn't, well, at the end of the day, I just enjoy talking about my football club anyway, so I don't really care. But, you know, and I say what I see. And if it upsets people, sorry. I'm not one of these that are like, what I'm telling you is the fact and the gospel. It's my opinion. And everyone's got an opinion at the end of the day. But I'm like, I want to listen to everything.
Exactly.
Because I'm like, how can you really develop and decide if you don't hear all sides of the story? And
exactly.
yeah, I think like we just said, there's too many people that have gone too far that way, and you can't bring them back round. And this is it. Is that, you know, for me, I think this season and everything, I think if we didn't make that top five, which I really think we'd
We'd have to fail more than we're failing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I hope's not the case.
No. I think if he didn't get that top five, which is the buffer for the Champions League this season, then you've definitely got to have the conversation at the end of this year. But I think he's going to be fine on that. Would that be what I want? Not necessarily. I said at the start of this year, if he wins us nothing, I think that's it for me. I think
there's
got
to be questions, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's got to be. But I think he'll survive that, and they will literally go to him, right, you've got one last stab, and we're going to back you, which they will. They will back him in the summer. But I don't want to hear the excuses in the summer. You know, there's two positions that we need to fill, which are going to be a number 6 and a striker. And they're both starting positions for this football club. So by that first game in Singapore, which I believe is going to be a North London derby at a brand new stadium that's just been opened out there, I don't want to see Mikel Moreno or, you know, Declan Rice having to move from an 8 into a 6 because we haven't replaced Partey or Jorginho. I want no excuses. I want those positions filled with the two players that you believe are going to carry us, because there's no World Cup, there's no Euros, there's this Club World Cup rubbish, which is a marketing exercise we're not even involved in. So I don't want to hear no crap. I want to see, you know, at the moment, there's always excuses, but no results. Well, I don't want no more excuses.
Facts. Like,
Because
facts, bro.
there is no way. There is no way that you can have excuses. I mean, I'm still seeing people defend this summer window, right? And I look at it and I go, the 2 players that we've signed in this summer window, all season long, because I said, you tell me you watch all the games. So, like me, if you've watched all the games, this season, when has Calafiori or Moreno shown that they're good enough to start? Not be a part of the squad, start. Neither of them have.
One's lost their place by Haylender, respectfully to him.
That's it, exactly. I'm like, why has a kid whose natural position isn't even the position that Calafiori's is, a better player than you, and he's 4 years younger?
I wish I had the answers. And that's the thing, like, that's where for me, kind of to answer my own question that I asked you about where I checked out. Naturally, I can forgive Arsenal fans for being optimistic off the back of last season. I mean, we finished 2 points off City. The year before, we was great in an attacking sense. Last year, we was more cerebral defensively. I hoped Arteta would combine the 2 kind of seasons, add some quality, and then we'd be going and doing what we're doing. And I think a lot of fans are getting in that trap of the merry-go-round where Arsenal fans are concerned, because we did say the gloves are off. We did say the club needs to show stuff. Yes, at the time, nobody could see City falling off, but we did say if City ever fall off or have a blip, we'd be the ones to take advantage. And unfortunately, we've seen Liverpool do it. We've seen City do it twice. And we're here explaining. Unfortunately, as you know, bro, winners win and losers explain. There's a bunch of reasons as to why we're here. Not all on Arteta, not all on the players, but that's the reality of it. And if we are like with the Arteta sexuals, if you're ready to say we're the best team of 2024 and all of those statistics, then you have to hold the club account now. And that's what annoys me the most, if I'm honest with you, because I cry about our defensive standards. We're up there statistically. I cry about the need for attackers. We're up there. The top 6 record, we're decent in there. But it's about the fine margins and the luck that Mikel Arteta speaks about, that we're never on the right side. And I think that's for me in the summer is where I checked out, because kind of what you alluded to, I can't sit here and say we upgraded the starting 11. Yeah, I know it's difficult to get players and do all of that stuff. But again, results. I didn't see that. I didn't see the squad get built bigger. Mikel Arteta, I know it's not just all on him, but he did say twice last year we've got one of the smallest squads, and he keeps saying it now. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And I just think fans think football is going to be favourable. Like, everybody's going to stay fit. The players that showed a bit of form are going to get better and better. That's, as you know yourself, that's not how it works, really. And it's almost like a fallacy. I think a lot of Arsenal fans are more concerned with just being part of a journey for journey's sake. Like, I always give the example. Whatever holiday destination is your ideal dream, you pack your suitcase, you get in a cab or however you get to the airport, you get on the plane. Eventually, you want the plane to land. Now, unfortunately, when the plane's landed for us, it's crashed. But I want it to land and, you do the clapping and whatever. That's the annoying thing. And it's just for me, I just feel truthfully in my heart, bro, these 3 years were a golden opportunity. Liverpool could fall off a cliff next season. But 2024-25, they've won the league. And there's no way they can shape it for me. Statistically, and what I'm seeing with my eyes, of the 3 years we've been fighting for a title, this has been the worst. This has been regression. We've not got better at anything. As you kind of said, Lewis Skelly's taken Calafiori's pace, or whoever was the left back. We've had 2 kids showing a lot more consistency than the other players. You said it as well. Moreno's up front. It was all fun and games against Leicester. It's not going to work. There's a thin line between stupidity, naivety, and competence, and we're blurring them. Now, it did look like we had a bit of stability. I do think Arteta wants to win. It's more how he's going to get about it. Clearly, Edu leaving in November and still not having a sporting director plays a part. How do you feel about the Cronkies? Because I personally feel myself in 2 minds. I don't want them to own the football club, but I don't think you can sit here and consistently blame them. They've backed Arteta more than any manager, really. So it's like, I can't blame them for why we're 13 points off Liverpool. I can't blame them as to why we were 2 points off City and there were several games. But where are you at with KSC?
So for me, I don't want to sit here and say that I absolutely love and adore the Cronkies, because I think that'd be
can't be an Arsenal fan and do that.
Exactly. But the way that things again get put towards them, I've got people that tell me they know nothing about football. So if they know nothing about football, do you think they're the ones that are telling him to stockpile goalkeepers and left backs? That's a Mikel decision. That's not the Cronky. You can't tell me on one hand they know nothing about football, and then they're the ones that are going to him, buy this midfielder, buy this left back, buy this goalkeeper, get Raheem Sterling. No. And do you know what? After the summer that we had last season, whether you agree with the fee for Declan Rice and Kai Havertz, whatever, you can't tell me that he hasn't been backed, because he has, in wages for not only himself, but for players and for transfers. But also on top of that, I think that there's a massive, massive disconnect in the fact that they probably went to him, because we've spent a bit, we need to recoup here, Arteta.
Mm.
And as much as I love Smith Rowe, I can understand that sale. I had no real problem with it. I mean, he'd be ideal now, wouldn't he? You'd love Smith Rowe. I mean, hell,
Love
even
him in the
Eddie,
squad,
even
mate.
Eddie, you'd welcome back at the moment.
Exactly.
the
Even
way
Fabio
he's-
Vieira, man, we should have cancelled his loan.
I mean,
We're desperate.
Eddie Nketiah is 2-2 now. He looks, he's coming into his own.
More than
but-
us.
Yeah, exactly. But those were two that you got to recoup a bit as for what you've spent. You got to bring some in, and we're not.
It's
the
a
best
business,
at
even though I
sales.
hate to say that.
Exactly. We're not the best at sales, but I agree. Those two sales I thought were brilliant for the fees that we've got for both of them. I think they're very, very good sales. So, yeah, they're not just going to willy-nilly go, well, here's another 100 million, Mikel, because that's, like you said, that's not good business sense.
Exactly.
And in
They're
the
going to go, hang on, what's going on here?
Yeah, in the January, if we're going to move forward onto that window, I don't necessarily think that Arsenal are skin. I just think what we've done is spend badly in places, and
So we're
also
stripping it all back.
yeah, and the people that are in these positions aren't good at their jobs. I mean, I've got all the badges and the shirt and that behind me there, right? You're telling me this couldn't find a striker on loan, not even to buy, just on loan. You couldn't find one.
They'll tell you we can't find one though, man.
No.
And they'll ask you a bit like what you said with Arteta. They'll say who? Well, we're not in charge of that.
Yeah.
Like we're not.
Yeah. And I mean, David Ornstein's article come out the other day, and it's saying about Ato still being in the running, and that just makes me. I've got a lot of hair to pull out, and it makes. You know what I mean? I was like, I want to rip. I'm like, how is this guy in the running? I'm like, for what? For what?
Apparently he's impressing behind the scenes. Now, if he goes and signs Mbappe in the summer and we see a chronological order, then I'll be like, great, but that's very unlikely. That just tells me you sing from the same hymn sheet because you've been Edu's number 2, and then you're just another kind of guy. Like you said, you do get the sign that these guys are incompetent, respectfully to them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I look at it and think to myself, what have you done to impress? Because we got a plethora of young players. Okay, they went out last night, sadly. But some of them, you can tell that, well, they're too good really to be playing in this youth setting. So they should be really getting experience. But none of them, other than Maldini, none of them got loaned anywhere. So even that's failing. I mean, what Mertesacker and all of them are doing with the academy is incredible. You can see that the plethora of talent that's coming through is insane. You've got 2 of them that look better than our experienced international players that are in our first team.
In fact, the Lord, they took their chances this year, man. It'll be even more trouble.
Exactly. But at the same point, I think whoever this director is has to be someone of some note, but he's also got to have a bit about himself, because I think Arteta does need to be pushed back. I mean, Edu left, and there's a lot of reasons why people can talk about it. Yeah, if you got offered treble your salary, you're probably going to go. But he wanted a job that he thought he was going to get, which was Vinay's. He didn't get it, so that's probably cheesed him off. But at the same point, he didn't want Calafiori and he didn't want Moreno. If you look in the summer, look how long those deals took to get over the line. I haven't got it with me, but if you go on Twitter and look at when they were linked to when our official tweet come out, there's a few days in between them. So I'm like, that's definitely Edu going, are you sure?
Are you sure? You can't do something else? Like,
no, exactly. And Mikel, for me, is better at talking upstairs than probably Edu was. And I think not getting that role, but also his power being diminished, because we're both men. You know what power's like. We want it all. Everybody selfishly, I need that. If I ain't getting money, I like being somewhere where I.
And he's the one that employed Arteta as well, so it might be like, "Who are you?" kind of thing.
That's it. We've all been at work, and it's like, right, if I'm not being paid, at least these people respect me, and I'm like sort of Don Juan type. When you realise you're no longer the man, that probably cheesed him off as well.
Time to go.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot in that. A lot of people dismiss it, but I think there's an awful lot in it. I mean, Neto only came through the link from his agent and Edu's agent being the same.
When we were scrambling on deadline day because we was going after that Garcia lad, where we was going to commit. I'm not saying he's bad, but 20 odd million quid on a backup goalie essentially.
And we took too long to sell Ramsdale. We were mucking
Exactly.
around with Ramsdale till the end as well. Ramsdale, we knew he didn't want to stay, so we should have sold him day one. As soon as the window opened, whoever wanted him, take him. I mean, bloody hell, Chelsea needed a goalkeeper. They still need
And
one
they're
now.
linked with him again.
Well, that's it. I'm like, the way that Arsenal and Chelsea sell players to each other now, it's crazy. We're like best buds in the transfer
Yeah.
market.
Of course,
Like,
Chelsea be our best friends, man. They just keep buying. We keep buying their bullshit. Like
exactly. But I'm like, what? Why couldn't that be done day dot? I'm like, were you still trying to think? He's happy being number two. He's openly expressed it. You know, his dad's gone on podcasts and told us he's unhappy.
Yeah.
So,
I think that was the beginning of the end. If I'm honest, that his dad wouldn't
there
shut
you
up.
go.
But
Yeah. So I'm like, just all of it from top to bottom, like Kroenke's, Arteta, all of it included. But that's the thing is that I'm like, but the Kroenkes aren't going to change. Nobody's going to come out and buy them out, and they're not going to leave. So
they
the
just
only
bought the
person
club,
you can
really, 2018. It's got their fingers in it.
Exactly. So the only thing you can really point at is Arteta for me. And again, there's still decisions and stuff that he's making that I'm looking at going, no, I'm sorry. After nearly 7 years, I ain't buying it no more.
Exactly. You're bang on the money. And that's where, I don't think everyone's to be blamed. I do think there's some excuses you can give Arteta, but at the end of the day, you've been here 6-7 years. There's certain lessons I think you should have learnt by now, whether you're a novice manager or not. There's certain things you do it tactically. And I just feel from a tactical sense, there's a lot you're not doing. Yeah, you're kind of fucked, pardon my French, with the injuries and whatnot. But I'm not being funny. Against West Ham, David Raya's madness was the best highlight. Kieran Tierney put a half decent crossing against Nottingham Forest. That excited me. I like Calafiori, but he's a hazard to put it nicely defensively. Him hitting the crossbar is a great chance. I know we're too late in the season and Arteta is stubborn, so I know he's not going to change formations. But for argument's sake, if nothing changes, nothing changes. You haven't changed that. You're not really betting on the fullbacks who you could say are attacking players with Tierney. You're just committing to Merino. And I do think a bit of that is because you're not learning your lessons and incompetence. But I do think it's because you've got a sweet gig at Arsenal. Arsenal's owners are not them owners that gave you a 50 mil contract, see that you're not achieving what you need to achieve from a sporting front, and they're going to get rid of you. And you made a great point about the Champions League being 5 places. If I'm sinister, I think the whole club know that. That's why we didn't really, that could have played a part as to why we didn't do anything in January. That could play a part as to why Arteta isn't really trying anything, because it's like, I know I'm not saying we should have Abramovich, but if Abramovich, for argument's sake, was our owner and we was in this situation, he might say to Arteta, "What's going on here? You might have to lose your job." Then you might change.
He sacked managers that won doubles.
Exactly. For less. People have been sacked for less than that.
He didn't like the style.
Exactly. People have been sacked for less than that. So he's just shooting himself in the foot. And as I said, Arteta is, I think you're a good coach. I don't know if you're a good manager. And kind of what you're saying, you said at the beginning of this, it's like you're getting the Arsene Wenger stuff without doing the Arsene Wenger stuff. Like, I don't understand this. Like, they're betting heavy on him. Now, I have no doubt that Arteta is highly rated in the world of football, whatever I think of him. In the same way, not many of our fans, including myself, thought much necessarily of Edu, but he's winning awards as a director and whatnot. So there is something there. But is it Arsenal FC or Arteta FC? Because there's going to come a point where, yeah, you could say getting rid of him doesn't guarantee success, but you could also say keeping him doesn't. How long do you keep doing something before you get rid? Now, I think we're kind of fucked, if I'm honest, because the Kroenkes don't necessarily want to win. Maybe if we get an experienced player like moments like this and last season, we could get over the line. But I think the conversation has to be for Arteta. Can you win with regard? The Kroenkes are irrelevant because people act like Arteta's a damsel in distress. This is a relationship of convenience. You're managing a beautiful and massive football club, and they're giving you an opportunity. You've survived where people could have been sacked for less, as we both know, and you're getting way more responsibility and autonomy over the squad than anyone else. With great power has to come great responsibility, and you have to get over the line. Even like you said, even with the cups, what do you make of Arteta and Arsenal like moving away from the board? Because I do feel like if we look at what was it, the League Cup against Newcastle, definitely at St James's Park. Why do you think we struggle when it's sink or swim moments? Like, you need to win this game kind of thing, or you need to get through. Like, what is it with us?
Do you know what? If I knew this, I wouldn't be sat
You've
here.
been a job over there, man.
I'd be minted. I think, and I've said this for years on every podcast show, everything that I go on, since Eduardo, got injured against Birmingham City. And what was that, 2009, 2010?
Yeah, man. Years ago, to put it
Yeah.
nicely.
I think mentally this club has been in downfall when the chips are down and you need to be pulled out of it. We just haven't got it since that moment. and that's what 15, maybe 16 years ago. I've not seen it. I've not seen it. There's just been too many times and occasions where there's just no lift. I mean, the goal by Jared Bowen against West Ham. One player can make a mistake, but can you bail him out? No.
Exactly.
Calafiori mucks up. Okay, Gabriel, can you make that header? No, you duck it. Declan Rice, can you follow? If you're following a man, make sure you follow him all the way. No. So if one goes down, it's like the domino effect, isn't it? They all of them bang, 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 bang.
All down tools.
And that's been a crux of this club. Like I said, for nearly 15 or so years. And I mean, I saw people moaning about Declan Rice and Gabriel having a bit of a shouting match with each other.
Football's gone too woke if people are crying over that, man.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm like, this is what I want to see.
This is what we need.
I'm pissed off, so I want to see that they're pissed off as well. There's others that are just walking straight down the tunnel, don't care.
We won leagues at Spurs wearing that very shirt behind you, and people are Jens Lehmann and Sol Campbell are giving it to each other. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, everyone seems to think you got to be friends and like one another. I mean, I hate bringing them up, but you look at Man United when they were in their pomp. Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham, they don't talk now. They still hate each other. I'm like, you don't have to like each other, but let's get the job done.
Once you're on the pitch, your best friends. Keep it as that.
Let's win. Let's just win. And that's the thing is that, again, I think that we've got somebody here that has taken us to the line, but perhaps he can't cross it. And that's the painful thing. I'm willing to see what happens because we've got no choice. But just on paper, every single thing looks bad. And we'll go back to the injuries. People saying about the injuries. Well, before we even had the injuries this season, we were still 9 points behind Liverpool.
Exactly. It's never been a title race per se.
So from the start, we haven't been top of the table this season for one day.
See, that tells you everything. We've been chasing and then making it harder and harder.
Yep, we've never been top all year. So I think from the start, we've been completely off it. And that goes into, again, this whole new way that we're playing in that it's don't lose, but don't do everything to win. It's so risk averse.
The pressure cooker never goes up.
No, because I'm like, we're not, as much as the defend, you said it earlier, the metrics, the statistics defensively are great. But Arsenal, in my first game was in 1995, right? And I know it used to be hoof it long, 1-0 to the Arsenal type football. But departing from that, for nearly 30 years, we've had a culture of we're a front foot aggressive side. Arsenal can't sit on the back foot. We don't do that.
It's not sustainable either.
This is going to be the first year, potentially. I'm praying that Saka and Martinelli can come back ASAP. But I don't know. I think Martinelli might. I don't think Saka will kick a ball this season.
I'm with you with that. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, there's a massive fear for me that I don't think Saka's going to kick a ball at all this season. But at the same point, I'm like, you know what? Take the rest because, you're
never going to get a rest ever than that.
I'm praying we might do something in the Champions League, but I'm not very confident. But I live in hope. That's what we do.
That's all we got.
But this is going to be the first time since, I believe, 1933, 1934, that we don't have a player that's got double figures for goals or assists.
I don't know what to say to that. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad.
That flashed up on my Twitter the other day, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah,
that's
not
crazy.
A single player with double digits for either.
That's through me because it kind of I do think Arteta's football is negative. I do think naturally there has to be a trade-off, as much as I loved Arsene Wenger, but Arsene Wenger during the Emirates era, we came to expect we'll play you off the park, millions of chances. If you just manage to hold on, you'll get a bit like the West Ham game to a slight degree. You get one chance down the other end. We know the reality. But I think Mikel Arteta has gone the other way. I don't know if he's scarred from the 2022-23 season where we was playing club off the park, and then the second half was on knife edge. But it's like you put it there. It's like we're kind of, and it sounds dumb, but it's like we're set up not to lose versus to win. And I understand that there is a correlation with us being second and improving defensively. But you look at Pep Guardiola, just random names: Wenger, Pep Guardiola, Conte, Jose, whatever names of managers people can throw up here, they all play football differently. What one manager thinks is the most important, a next man might think is the least. You all need to put the ball in the back of the net. No matter what you want to do, you need to score goals. I personally believe we need a striker and a winger. But I don't think that solves everything, because I can't see the level of football to say, you get it, Isaac, we necessarily are a better side. I mean, of course we are. Of course we'll score more goals. But then we will 100%, if we carry on at this rate, have a question where we're saying, are we getting the best out of them? Arteta's gone the other way a bit too much, a bit like what you gave with the far left and far right. From a footballing sense, he needs to kind of come back centrally. And what do you make of, I assume, again, I don't know if we have a good summer, but like assuming we're talking about a title for a fourth year in a row, are you concerned about the players mentally? Because it's got to be draining, like always coming second, always going out the cups. You look at Saliba in the World Cup, Saka and Declan Rice, obviously over with England. They also lost in the Euros. Like, do you question, Mark, if they're going to be able to get up for it again?
Oh yeah, we've seen it with other clubs. Look at Liverpool; they chased and chased and chased, and then what was it? Not last season, was it the season before with Klopp, where they just about made it, didn't they? Because it's draining. Chasing this Man City side is absolutely draining, and I hate to make the parallels, I really do, but I look at us and I'm looking at Pochettino's Spurs.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
And I'm like, it's eerily similar.
Something's got to give.
I mean, if we can make a European final, maybe we'll have a better stab of it than what they did against Liverpool. But I think to myself, if you come third in this 2-horse race this season, that is mentally. I mean, if Man City catch us up now
and they're getting their form together
and
as
then
well,
lap us, oh my God, they will be. I mean, they look crushed now, mate. Like you said, mentally, they're going to be in bits. They're going to be in absolute bits. And as much as you've got to lift yourself and then lift us for this window and a new player coming in, I don't know how you pick these people back up off the floor again themselves either. I mean, a lot of it, to me, they've got to do off their own back. I mean, you saw me with Sophie the other day as well. And I was saying to her, I'm seeing people go on about Martin Odegaard. Oh, yeah, but James, he hasn't got this around him. He's got, he's got... What? I had this with Mesut Ozil, that he didn't have this, that, and the other. Why don't he do something for himself? If he knew while he's playing, these strikers and these wingers on it, I might have to shoot a bit more. I might have to have a bit more confidence. But he likes to play it sideways and then move, have a little run, see what's going on. I'm like, when he got injured, Saka put that armband on and just went, hold my beer, and ran with it. I'll take this. And he was winning games on his own. And I've seen Martin Odegaard, and again, you might have people in your comments calling me nuts and everything. I don't care. I've seen Martin Odegaard, for me, be the best player in the Premier League. And he believes I'm the best player in the Premier League. I am the man.
This is why I got you on the channel, man. You speak facts, man.
And at the moment, I'm like, you don't even believe you're the best player at Arsenal, let alone in the league.
Feeling sorry for yourself, man.
Yeah. But I'm like, you're the guy that, other than the manager, people are looking and turning to you to be like, lift me.
You're the captain.
He ain't lifting nothing.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to be that.
Well, he looks confident.
That's the thing. Like, he looks down on his dumps. Why do you think he's the captain? Sorry to cut you, but why do you think he's the captain? If I'm being a bit sinister, like, and I'll be devil's advocate. Obviously, I know you've played football because of the way you speak. If he's the captain, that
wasn't very good.
No, but I can tell you've played football. You understand the Sunday League dynamics at the very least. Yeah, neither was I, or we'd probably be in the team ourselves. Like, if we assume that his voice holds the most weight, and when he walks into that changing room, people shut up, does that say something about our squad if he is that guy?
I think that you've got sometimes, and it's a really cheap excuse because I've heard it so many times at Arsenal, but he's got the armband on, but other people are really the leader of this team. And I think that probably Gabriel, even Jorginho, they're probably the ones, even Rice, because Rice has been a captain at another club that was in relegation fights and won a European trophy. I know it was technically the Johnston's Paint Trophy of Europe, but it's still a European trophy.
It's still a European trophy. I mean,
we're older than it. It's one more that I've seen Arsenal ever win. But do you know what I mean? I'm like, he's probably got it from where he's, Arteta gave him it at a time where, if you really look at it, who else was going to get it? I mean, Aubameyang got stripped, rightfully so, because I agreed with Aubameyang being stripped at the time. You do set an example to. We were an even younger side than what we are now, And if you're turning up late,
That's
and
another
you're
decision.
shirking,
Sorry to cut you. That Arteta, everyone didn't universally agree on, and Arteta went for it. It worked, but that just shows you
yeah.
the power he's got. To aid your
Oh God,
previous
yeah,
point.
yeah. But no, I agree. At that time, I had no problems really because Aubameyang weren't. The minute Aubameyang put pen to paper on that new contract, he went down a level.
He went to sleep, man. He
And
cashed
do you
out.
know what? Do you know what used to wind me up as well? Is we would draw or lose games, and they were either being on Sky, TNT, Amazon, whatever channel they were on. And he never done the interviews. It was
Yeah,
Smith Rowe, it was Saka, and it was
everyone
just
but
like,
him.
why are you being a coward, Matt? I'm like, you're the captain, and I was just like, you're shirking responsibility here a bit.
Because if
And
we won, you'd
okay,
be in front of the cameras.
yeah, and I mean, okay, the other night after the 0-0, it was Arteta and I can't remember who else
I think
done the
Trossard.
interview for us after the game. I think it might have been Trossard. Yeah, I think you're
Yeah, I
right.
think it's Trossard.
Um, but
Maybe
yeah,
Jorginho, but I think it was Trossard.
yeah. So, but I've seen Odegaard come out there, and do you know what? There's been other stuff as well where a few years back, I went to an event and it was Ray Parler, Gilberto, and Lauren, and someone said there about you guys had Adams, then you had Vieira, and they said now we've got Martin Odegaard, and Ray Parler went whoa. He said sorry to intervene here, but he went don't dismiss this guy because he said that he went to when they put the new artwork around the stadium like the
Yeah,
wraps. They said
yeah.
they had an event there and they went, Martin Odegaard showed up. He wasn't announced, but he turned up to it. And he said every single fan that was there from all these different fan groups and everything that were a part of this artwork being put on the ground. And he stopped and he spoke to every single one.
I respect that. Big up Martin for
And
that.
and they were like, he didn't have any ideas above his station. He said he didn't have to do it, but he'd done it. And then he said afterwards there was ex-players there, and they said that he spent about an hour and a half to 2 hours after the event all finished talking to them about what's it mean for you being an ex-player. What is there anything that these captains done that you can tell me that I can take in? And so they said the guy's receptive and the guy cares. And I do believe he does. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't think he cares at all. And
Yeah,
he
I just think
doesn't.
he's a pretty boy.
Yeah.
He's not a traditional captain.
No.
I don't think he
No.
doesn't care.
I look at him and I think
Purely from a footballing point of view in crunch time
this
moments,
season
really.
is just this season especially is an absolute off season. I mean, you're talking about changes that we can make immediately. The first thing I'd do if I got invited to Colney on Monday, I'd go to him and I'd go, whatever this scoop pass shit you keep doing every game
Oh
is,
my God, don't get me started.
behave. This scoop pass, mate, every single time.
Like nobody's on your wavelength as well.
No.
Like sometimes I think he's too smart for his own good. Like he's operating at a higher frequency. Like I always say on my channel, like obviously I love Bukayo Saka. It's hard not to love him. He's from the A-Land. He's our match winner. He's our star boy. All of that stuff. Saliba and Gabriel are great. That to be honest, there's very few unlikable footballers. But I just feel what I believe football is about. You give them a ball. Martin Odegaard is that. When he's on song, it's amazing. Unfortunately, you're not on song. We're playing terrible. You're playing terrible. Yeah, Ben White and Saka have been injured, but I need a bit more. I'm not asking you to fly into tackles. Lord knows you're not that sort of guy, but I need your influence. I do think the team reacted against Nottingham Forest in the first half. I do kind of cut Odegaard some slack because you got a kid and injuries and all of that. But how far does that go? Because we need you. Like, we need you. Like, at the end of the day, I can't cut you any slack when Wanyeri and Lewis Skelly are playing better than people significantly more experienced than them. Like, do you feel like, because I think when I look at last summer, if you ask me who I would want in an ideal world in terms of personnel, I'd want a striker, obviously. I'd want a left winger. I'd want another centre mid or two, probably, maybe another defender and a couple of goalies. I would have said we probably need someone to play instead of Odegaard or fight with him for that spot or provide cover. But I think in hindsight now, with what I'm seeing with Martin, for me, I'm kind of more on addressing that. Do you think we need depth in that position?
I definitely think that we need as much, like you said, depth and maybe someone to challenge. But then at the same point, I sort of sit here and think, if you need to be put under threat of your position at Arsenal to start playing, have you really got the minerals for Arsenal in the first place?
That's a good point.
I'm like, does it take you having to feel slightly threatened to perform? Because you should want to perform because you're playing for Arsenal regardless. So it's a really, really hard question.
That's a good point.
I totally agree with you. I see exactly what you're saying. But at the same point, I'm like, yeah, but if you need a kick up the arse in order to play, then you shouldn't really be here in the first place. And don't get it twisted. I'm not one of these people that like get rid of Martin Odegaard. I love Martin Oga. Like I said earlier, I believe this guy can be the best player in the league. It's whether he believes it, and that goes back to what we said earlier about the mentality, the whole mentality thing.
And that's the thing.
I mean, they've got another year where they're probably going to win nothing, and I'm like, you're going to have to be
Breaks my
picked
heart.
up. Yeah, same. And I'm like, you're going to have to be picked up big time. And you know what? I mentioned it when I was with Sophie again. Funny enough, I keep going back to it.
Shout out Sophie, man.
Oh, she's brilliant. She's the best. I saw Declan Rice saying that we need, I've never in my whole time I've supported this club seen players come out and go,
I say this exact point.
we need someone up here. We need a striker. So I'm like, the players know.
And I wonder what they feel.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because me and you love Saka, but they know Saka more. They're training with the guy. Like they know how important he is times 100.
Yeah. So I'm like, if the players are even more receptive to it, and they're not seeing it happen, again, that makes, I'm like, because again, we got 3 key players. What is it? Saliba, Gabriel, and Saka, that 2027, their contracts are due.
Yeah.
That's why this summer's got to be good. Because again, I don't like Robin Van Persie, but Robin Van Persie,
I understand it,
sat there and said, he looked at it and went, who else are you bringing in?
The King done the same thing. He said, you lot are doing the youngster thing. I need to do something else. I don't want to get in that trap again. And that's the annoying thing is like, I know fans overrate their players, but definitely during the Emirates era, like collective squad, as much as I'm crying about we need other people and all of this, there's very few players that I don't think can do a job here. Now, my issue is I think we kind of do this thing where people that are summer interns were making you the CEO from if that was an example, or you should be a water boy and now you're being a regular like Kai Havertz. With the respect to Kai Havertz, I'm not a fan of the scapegoating. I can understand he was always destined to fail in fans' eyes because they didn't want the guy. I think he is one of our more consistent and reliable attackers. Now, that's nothing on Kai. I think that is damning of what we're trying to do. If you're trying to make Kai Havertz be the leading goal scorer through the middle for you, it's a fallacy. It's romantic. He will score goals. He'll chip in. We'll sing his song and it'll be great. But when it's crunch time, I don't know what's going on. And it's annoying, man, because it does feel like we have to kind of start again. We just spoke about it. The sporting directors, we just kind of indirectly spoke about players coming in. There's a bunch of players who probably are going to go. We can't, whether people want him gone or not. Gabriel Jesus can't go nowhere. Zinchenko's probably gone. But what if he says, I want to fight for my space? I'm happy for these wages. Kivior the same. I love Tomiyasu, but I do think he's one that, you're never hearing. He's played like 4, 5, 6 minutes. He's not going anywhere. So it's almost like we're starting all over again. Not all over again, but somewhat starting over again. And it's annoying. But as much as I'm critical of Arteta, critical of the board, and kind of what you said with the Rice comment, I'm least critical on the players. But at the same time, if we keep it 100, they are the ones playing. And there's very few players, I believe, that I don't expect you to be perfect all the time. Gabriel Magalhaes, for me, is probably our player of the season. But you mentioned West Ham, he could have done better. I feel there's very few players that can say they've pulled their weight. I would, or I can't ask anything more. I'd say Raya, nothing more I could ask of you. Magalhaes, I don't feel Saliba's been to the standard he was of the previous 2 years, least of our problems. I don't think Rice has been amazing, but I don't understand, like, when Rice becomes a main talking point at Arsenal, we've got a million things to discuss, let alone Rice. Timber's done well after his ACL. The 2 Haylen kids, I might be missing some other players, but that's like 5 players of a 19, 18 man squad of a 38 game calendar. It's not good enough. Like, what have you made of the players?
Spot on. Same as you can just copy and paste and change the voice.
And that's upsetting, man. That's upsetting.
Sorry. Yeah, no, for me, on my own channel, where I review the games, I do man of the matches that I pick.
Make sure you're subscribing. The title is in the bio.
Legend. And I say to people, if you agree with me, let's talk about it. If you don't agree with me, let's talk about it. But the thing is, what I love, especially at the end of certain games, is when you go onto your Twitter or whatever, your channel, whoever's channel you watch, because there's, like I said, every man and his dog's got an Arsenal podcast. But what I like is I'll have who I think is man. And let's just say, I don't know, next game is PSV, yeah? Let's say Gabriel has a stormer against PSV, or Ben White plays and has a stormer, or Trossard does something and scores, or Thomas Partey, or David Raya saves a penalty and everything. There's 5 or 6 different man of the matches. That's what I love, because it's
the beautiful thing about football.
Everyone's played so well. We're all trying to think who was the best out here today. But now, like you said, you know who it's going to be before a ball's kicked, because only 1 or 2 are at the level. The rest have gone down, and it goes back to what we said earlier about the chasing and the mentally. They're just drained. They're absolutely drained.
Facts.
And the consistency just isn't there, and it's not been right since the start of the season. And that can go down to a recruitment thing not being right, everything. It's all from the start of the year just not been correct.
We
And
went to buy and it got worse.
yeah. And again, the thing is this is the year where if you were correct, you were going to win it. And that's what's the most painful thing is everyone's going on, like you said earlier, oh, if Man City F up, we're on it. Well, they have they have F'd up. And guess what? We've F'd up even more to an extent because we should be, I mean, no one's got a God-given right to win the Premier League, but we should have been, we're the ones that should have this 11, 13, 14-point gap. I mean, I can't wait to see what these people use as an excuse as to how this guy in his first season, because I'm still getting the Marvel's Endgame people that are like, oh, this is 5th, 6th phase Arteta. This is the multiverse.
I don't want to hear phases and processes. I'm tired.
I'm like, well, this guy hasn't even bought anybody. He didn't even buy anyone.
The injuries are unprecedented, don't you know? We haven't had the luck. We're going to blame referees and red cards, and even though they play a part, but I mean, come on.
The injuries happened, we were still 9 points behind them.
We didn't exhaust all our options. We didn't control the controllables. It's merely highlighted the incompetence prior to the injuries. It merely masked it. Even if everyone's fit, we've got a small squad. Like, it's not making any sense, man.
This is it. The only reason Liverpool are where they are, one, I will admit they're very, very lucky. I don't know how, things fall off a player's arse. It lands at Mo Salah's lap and he tucks it in. I've never seen a side so lucky in my life.
When they beat Bournemouth, I knew they win in the league, man. I was like,
and I know the Scousers will come at me and everything else. I don't really care. I don't listen to them anyway. I can't abide them. I hate them more than any other team in the league. I can't abide Liverpool or Liverpool.
Mine's Man United, man.
Well, yeah, Man United, I've got the rivalry and stuff with, from where I'm a child of the 90s. So Man United are massive as well. But Liverpool, I can't abide them as a fan base. I can't abide them as a club. But do you know what? They are the best team, whether I want to admit it or not. Sadly, they are. But their whole thing, and this is what I argue with Arsenal fans about all the time, is they've got the options. I'm like, we don't, they're purely where they are because guess what? They got 4 or 5 players in that front line that they can chop and change, and all of them, okay, barring Darwin Núñez, but he scored goals at an important time.
He's nicked them 3 points couple times this season.
They all score. And I'm like, and you're still trying to beat a drum to me. Oh, Gabriel Jesus. I'm like, Gabriel Jesus has never been the guy. He was before that injury, that first knee injury, he looked like a game changer.
That first 6 months.
But ever since then, he's a shadow of himself. And do you know what? If Gabriel Jesus was any good, Man City would never have sold us him in the first place. I say this about all these players. I said it, Danny Welbeck, lovely guy. Good player.
We could do it now.
He'd be great for Arsenal now. But at the same point, when he was here and people were going on and on and on about, I was like, Man United would never have sold Arsenal Danny Welbeck if he was any good. If he was what you all say, what you're all telling me he is, he'd have never been sold to us because
it'd be stupid to do that.
The only club that sells their players in their prime to rivals that then end up doing well is fucking us. We're the ones that sell. We're the ones that sell our best players to our rivals, and then they all go on and win anything. Look at all the ones we sold to City: Sagna, Clichy, Touré.
We built City.
Yeah.
Before it became Barcelona B with Pep and all them guys, we built City. We all knew our best players were Adebayor, Colo, Clichy, the list, Nasri, the list goes on. Apart from Sagna because he went there on the free, we built them. That's just what we've done. And then when we're going to buy rival players, like, we're getting the scraps. Like, people were trying to paint the Sterling thing to me. I'll always support, as I said, and you're the same, like, support anyone that plays for the football club. But what I don't like is lying. I hope Sterling does well. I hope he finds his form. But all of this, Arteta's worked with him before. He's got a point to prove. The initial debut video that he had on Arsenal.com, I said, this is a fallacy. Do you really think deadline day we want to scramble for Raheem Sterling? Edu, who, like most sporting directors, they never specifically say, oh, we didn't want to play. He said, to be fair, we didn't plan to do this. That told me Edu said, when this doesn't work, don't blame me for nothing. I'm not involved. Arteta clearly don't rate him. He's replaced Reece Nelson. I do feel sorry for Sterling in some regards because it is that double-edged sword of if you're not going to get minutes, get a run, how are you going to perform? But reality is you're not good enough. And when people sit here and say, oh, what players are we going to get to improve us and whatnot? I say fair enough. But look at what we've got now. Is there really no one? Look where we are now. Marino's playing up front, and Arteta is sticking to that. It doesn't make sense. That's a good way for me to ask you the last question I want to ask you. Yeah, how hopeful, sorry, are you for the summer? Like, how hopeful, like that we're going to address these areas and do all these things?
I've got to be, haven't I? Again, it's so annoying that every single thing has to come down. People go, "Oh, you're just obsessed with the transfer." I'm like, well, yeah, because it's the most important. It's the only thing you can get excited by as well.
Yeah,
because I'm not excited for the rest of the season. Again, Patrice Evra, and everyone slagged him off for it, but he was right. He's like,
unfortunately, he's right.
You're Netflix FC. Next season. I'm like, yeah.
The truth hurts.
Yeah, it does. It does. I'm like, Arsenal have always got people punching down. Sadly, that's just how it's been ever since I support. Even when we won the Invincibles and stuff, we were still getting slagged off for it. It's just how we are.
That comes with the territory.
We're a reactionary fan base. We nibble. I'm guilty. We've all done it.
So am I.
Because we want to protect our own. It's just natural. That's how we are. But yeah, it's the most important. I mean, for me, they've said March. So today's the 1st of March. So I know they're not going to do it. It's quite late in the evening. So I'm not expecting the Twitter bomb to go off now saying...
You never know what David wants to, man.
Well, you don't. That's very true. But whoever this director is going to be humongous. And they have got a job and a half on their hands because one, all of us are going to be looking at him with a fine tooth.
They're on the back foot already.
Or her, sorry, I'll throw my hands up. It could be a her as well as 2025. So I'll throw my hands up and say, could be it could be. I don't want to discriminate. And at the same point, you've got to sort him out because, like we mentioned earlier, he's getting ideas above his box.
But is Kroenke, are the Kroenkes, because that's one thing I will ask with the Kroenkes, are they going to give that level playing field to the sporting director and Arteta? Whoever, like a thing where, say, I'm Arteta, you're level playing field, or is it Arteta's going to get his way? Because we're going to be in the same situation, bro.
No, I definitely think they are from the point of view of there is no way. I mean, it's bad enough sitting here with you now saying, how can you justify him getting another year on this season if we win nothing? But next season, if we go out the cups with a whimper again, fall off in the league.
If we play like this.
Yeah. How can you? Because I know there's people going, 300 million. We ain't spending 300 million. We will spend roughly between maybe 210 to 230, 240 mil next season.
Top end as well.
On top of sales, if that. But yeah, like I said, you've got to deliver someone of note.
An experienced head, man. No more of this training stuff now. We've tried the other thing now. Experienced guy that's been around the block for me, or girl, as you said.
There's established people that I'm friends with that have been watching this club longer than I've been born. But they're giving their tick. They're like, I don't want to go anymore. I'm bored of it.
Checked out, and that's the saddest thing as a football fan.
Yeah, I'm like,
and we saw that against West Ham. People were leaving. If the Kroenkes care about anything, it's that.
Yeah. Well, that was it, weren't it? It was like when they probably need the fans the most, all of them were gone, and I don't blame them. A lot of people were like, "Oh, look at this! Look at fair weather fans and all." I'm like, no, you pay your money. If you want to leave within the first minute, you can. You've paid your money. It's your ticket. Yeah. Don't tell. This is another thing I hate. I know we're trying to wrap up, and I apologize.
No. Keep going, man, because you are speaking my language.
People who try and police fans, fuck off. Don't tell me how to
support. No one does that better than Arsenal fans.
Yeah. Don't tell me how to support my club. Go fuck yourself.
I can bet you any money, James. Yeah, when this video comes out, they're gonna say us two are not fans in my comments. They always say that if you're not just blowing smoke up the club's ass, you're not a supporter. I am not part of a blind dictatorship. I believe in free will. Yeah, that's just me.
This is what I was saying earlier. This is what people need to understand. It's called critical thinking. It's not that you're anti or abusive or anything. Where have me and you said anything here that's abusive towards a player or towards a manager? We haven't done it. If we have, rewind it, clip it up, and send me it because I'd love to see it. Because it's bullshit. Because it didn't happen. I'd go, that's
only
AI.
Swearing could be the only thing. And
I'd be like, that's AI. That ain't me. So, but I'm like, it is humongous. It is humongous.
100%.
And there can't be, there cannot be any excuse. I don't want to be going into that first game of the season because Gabriel Jesus ain't back till December.
At
Havertz
best.
isn't going to be fit to start the season. So we need a centre forward. What, are we going to play our first game of next season with Mikel Moreno up top still? Behave yourself.
You know what? At this point, bro, I wouldn't put it past us. I hope not. But I've learned now anything can happen with Arsenal now.
The only thing I'd accept is potentially, instead, if you don't buy us a centre forward, if you're still, trying to find the centre forward, buy the left winger and put Martinelli up top, because that's what I want to see anyway. Even this season, when Martinelli comes back, throw him in as a number 9 for some games. Throw him
Got
in as
nothing
a
else to
number 9.
lose, man.
Yeah, because I'm telling you now, he's better in the air than what people give him credit for. And
I remember him when Emre was here. He was good in the air. He was playing up front in the Europa League, I'm sure.
Yeah. The goal that he scored against it was some bum scrub team in the Europa League.
Yeah, I know we're not making this up.
Yeah, no, he headed it. He looked like Cristiano. The leap was huge, and I was like, bloody hell, he's a bit special, this lad.
Yeah, there's something here.
Yeah, so I would go back to putting him down as through the middle at number 9, because that's what he wants to do. He's always said it. When he went away with Brazil, they were playing him up front. He was on the bench, but he was going to be brought on playing down the middle. And he said, "I've never felt more free in my life."
He's a fine action player, man. He's not. I love Martinelli, but I don't think you're the sharpest tool in the box at all that intricate play.
It's too
you need to be on the last.
You know what he's going to do when he's on that left-hand side. You know he's going to try and chop in. That's what
Oh, that left-hand side next season can't be like this as well. It's another year with that.
Yeah, they suss him out easily, but it's everything really. Going back to your question, it is everything, because it will dictate, the whole season. Because unfortunately, what we did in this summer's window has dictated this year.
And if you fail to plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That's what I think we did. And I hear it. I'm not naive. I have no doubt the club tried to do this, tried to do that, but it's a results-driven business. If you try to, if I'm a manager of a Premier League side and I try to win a football match 38 times and I don't necessarily win or win enough, I don't have a job. It does not make sense. And as I said, I think too many fans like to police, as you say, like to do the dictatorship, and they like being in the journey for a journey's sake. And the manager says it needs to correlate to a trophy, and we've actually had some golden years. Like I mean, best case dream scenario, we would have won 3 Premier League titles on the spin, or at least on the double. But that's all hearsay. There's nothing in history, and I just feel we're at that point now, especially with Arteta, with the pickpockets and the lemons and all of those crazy things he does, which I'm not necessarily against. Everything has been geared towards winning, apart from now actually being winners. And I wonder how it's going to feel for these boys. We saw the last day of the season to the point where the Premier League trophy had to have been at the Emirates, as well as when City were playing. These are probably going to have to do a guard of honor. They're probably licking their wounds anyways. They're probably mentally fatigued, which, to be fair, I think the players do look like that. We've got a lot to do. And I don't want to say it's a blessing in disguise. It's definitely not. But maybe if we ever thought that we was on a level that we're not, and I'm talking about those at the club, maybe the bubbles burst and hopefully people can see things what they are, because the manager, the recruitment staff, the players, not a single fragment of this club has done everything they can to make sure we have a good season. Even the set piece coach, because that's gone missing now as well since December, man. So it is what it is, man. James, I would like to, in fact, just because of you, it's been a great chat, but it's just, I'm depressed about my club now, man. Let people know they can find you, my guy.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now, at LLCoolJames91, and then in the bio where that is all my links to my channel. Obviously, James Johnston Football. It's the best name, easiest
best name actually. I was shocked. I was like, this is
It's
wish mine was
my name. It's my name and football. Easy. There we go. I'm in. And yeah, I review the games. I probably should do more than I do, but like you said, when you're down, you don't want to talk about. I mean, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you. It's been a pleasure listening to you as well. That's why I was like, I need to find this guy. I think I left a comment on Highbury, because I was like, in a day and age where, as we kind of said, when people do the positive PR or just do negative for negative sake, I like people that can articulate themselves. And listening to you, it was refreshing. Like, we've got to be honest, like Arsenal, we probably run social media and social media channels. As you said, every man and their dog has a channel, but it can be exhausting when people are not critical thinkers or just thinking for the sake of thinking's sake, which I think is an underrated aspect. So I had to reach out to you, and it's been refreshing, man. We definitely have to do this again.
Yeah,
You've
got people that say that you've got an agenda or you've got an ulterior motive.
My agenda and my ulterior motive is our club being the best or winning some trophies. That's it. I don't care about nothing else.
That's what we all want. But at the same point, I mean, I called somebody out on it on my channel ages ago. I said to him, I'll tell you for a fact. I said, I'm 33 years old. Yeah, I'm going to be 34 in September. I've done podcasts about Arsenal since I was 17, 18 years old. And I'll do it here now. I'll show you the amount of money that I've made.
Because you love the club. You've got
I'm
nothing
like,
to gain but love for the club.
The amount of perks that Arsenal have given me since I was 17 to 18 years old. So what? I'm not. I don't get paid for any of this. I don't get given.
You've got
anything,
nothing to gain, but your club winning.
If Arsenal, for whatever reason, get bored of Uncle Clive and go, James, do you want to do a voiceover for an advert? I'd love that. But I don't think Arsenal are going to be sending me any emails or anything in the posts going, James, do you want to do the voiceover for the kit next season? Do you know what I mean? I mean, there's free kits, so there's free opportunities for them to go to me. Do you want to be on an advert? But I don't think they're going to, for whatever reason, I don't think they're going to pick me. So, but that doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, my channel, would I love my channel to have more subscribers? Of course I would. But
subscribe to James, people.
Oh, thank you. I'll get it on merit. I don't want it. I don't want it to be somebody, like
you
yourself.
You want to live your own truth.
You've been nominated for an award, rightfully so. Well played. Congratulations. Honestly, well played. But I'm like, you've got there by being you, mate. You haven't got there.
And that's an underrated skill, man. Like I can't. That's why I liked your content, James, because I just like people that are honest. I feel that's how I feel. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Sometimes I've looked and I know people who do the kind of lying and positive PR thing. I've wondered, how do you be like that?
I can't do that. We can sit here and say their names now. We're not going to, but we all know.
Yeah, no, like we
know who they are as well.
Exactly. Like at the end of the day, these lot. No one's gonna pay your bills for you. I understand it, innit? Go do your thing. But for me, I don't want to go to sleep feeling like a dickhead. I always say on my channel, and you kind of said a similar thing about being a critical thinker. I don't tell you what to think, just think. I welcome the differences of opinions. I don't like the thing in football where if I think something now in March, I have to think this a year from now. If I'm presented with new information, I always say my chat tell me a lot of things. Like Declan Rice says, I always used to say, I think the man's a 6. I still somewhat think he's a 6. But then they presented a different logic with how the game's changed and the 6 has to be good at consistently turn. I was like, okay, maybe I can still think what I'm thinking, but maybe that's why Arteta's playing. And I like to talk about football, but I think unfortunately in the present day, people are not fans of the game, like actually fans of football. They're fans of Arteta in our case, fans of certain players, loyal to agendas. It's dead, like it's dead. So when I saw you, I was like, fair play, lad. That it's nice to see someone that just being themselves, saying what they genuinely feel, man. So I've got all the time, man. Anytime you want to be back on my channel or you want me on yours, just let me know, James, man. People, I know you can hear us. Subscribe to the man. The link is in the bio. The link is in the title, as I should have said as well. James, it's one love, man. Let you enjoy your Saturday, man. Appreciate it, man.
You too. And better times will come around. Trust me.
I hope so, man.
We live in hope, man. We live in hope. Let's get PSV. Sorry, not PSG. PSV out there. Thank God it's PSV. I mean PSG.
Yeah, if it's PSG, well, we did beat them last time, so I never know.
They're better now, man. They've clicked. They're looking. They've got a player that we should have signed in January from Napoli.
They got numerous
players. I won't butcher his name. I can't pronounce his name, but
I know you're talking about
the exact sort of player
or something like that.
There you go.
Oh, but we tried, man. We tried.
Much, man.
Minor, man. Subscribe to James, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll get him back on the platform or I'll appear on his. We're out, people. Comment, subscribe, do all of that stuff, man. Safe.
Like